Okay, so hello. I want to sort of, it's a very good point to reach now, Hanukkah, in terms of the learning that we're doing. Because to understand what we're doing on Hanukkah for real, it's going to sort of be like a culmination almost of everything that we've seen until now. So, and we're also going to understand something, hopefully, there's this idea of doing mitzvos with kavanos. Now, I don't mean with kavanah. We hopefully all do, hopefully some of our mitzvos with kavana, meaning that we're thinking about it and focusing on what we're doing. And some mitzvos have, more kavanos that they're supposed to have to them. But that's not when in the Kabbalah world, in the world of Pnimius HaTorah, so kavanos are specific intentions, like specific thoughts about the mitzvah, often having to do with gematrias and like numerical values of parts of the mitzvah, like which we're going to actually see tonight. And but of course, all of those numbers and gematrias are not numbers and cute mathematical shtick. It's all representative of all of the ideas and the concepts that we've been talking about until now. It's all representative of the different midos of Hashem and the different interactions of the different midos of Hashem. Adai, I'm going to keep you as the host just so that I don't always pay attention to people trying to come in. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, I understand.
Okay, so I just put it back to you. So what we're going to be talking about now, we're going to be talking all about the mitzvah of menorah and the mitzvah of Ner Chanukah. And we're not going to say a word about the Maccabim or the Yavanim, or really anything to do with the story of Hanukkah or the menorah. We're only going to be talking about all sorts of spiritual kavanos and spiritual connections and things like that are happening. And then hopefully at the end we're going to see how all of that really mimics, or the other way around, what happened in the world mimics that, but the idea of just the story of Hanukkah leading to the mitzvahs that we do, and the real pnimius of what's going on leading to the mitzvahs we do and how we do them, it's all one, and it's all it's all wrapped up together. It is a very beautiful package, hopefully. Okay, so let's just try to understand what we're talking about over here. So we have a mitzvah to light the Ner Chanukah, right? We have a mitzvah to take a candle, to take a fire, and to there's all sorts of halachos that we're going to see that the Kabbalah addresses, these halachos, why they are the way they are, in terms of the position of the menorah, where the menorah is supposed to be, how we light the menorah, the time at which we light the menorah. So hopefully we're going to see how all of these things work. But first we have to introduce an idea that we've spoken about a few times over the past month or two, but I want to now really focus in on this idea, and that's the idea of Yichud Hashem, the oneness of Hashem, or the our sort of making Hashem one, right? What does it mean, making Hashem one? Hashem is one. Is only one. He's the only thing that's one. It's one of the animamins. So what does that mean, that we can do something? And we say this. If anybody has a sitter, or sometimes like a bencher, or even for Ner Chanukah, Hasidish benchers and things. Has anybody ever heard of this idea? You could raise your hand or something in an emoji if you know what I'm talking about. But there's this idea, l'shem yichud kuchebrichu ushchinte. Has anybody ever heard those words before? This is in a lot of Sidurim. Yes, people are nodding, thumbs up. Okay, so there's this concept that if you'll definitely come across this in life. Before performing a mitzvah, before saying a bracha, there's a certain paragraph that people say by Sfiras HaOmer. A lot of people say it, even though they don't say it any other place in the year. A lot of people say it right now. And I'm talking about a little bit maybe. Sfiras HaOmer, people say this. L'shem. Let's just look at these words. L'shem. I'm doing this mitzvah, right? This is like a kavana preparation for a mitzvah, and I'm doing this mitzvah l'shem yichud kudshebrichu ushchinte. Okay, I'm doing this mitzvah in the name of the there's no word for it. Oneization, you know what I mean? Like the yichud, the joining, the combination, the combining of Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Kutchabrichu, and his Shechina, Kutchabrichu Ushchinte. And then it goes on to say, with the mitzvah, etc., etc. So this concept of yichud, Kutchabrichu Ushchinte, as it said, in that terminology, is one of the most central concepts in Pneumius to everything that we do. And I want to explain what that means. Okay, so we have to take a step back again, and we know we have this system of the 10 spheros, starting with Keser at the top, and Keser, Chachma, and Bina, they make their own unit of the mochin, right? That's like the upper levels, the brains, that's like the spiritual level, the potential level, right? But the 7 lower spheros, right, which we've been focusing on more throughout these shurim, because that's really where our avoda is, right? We only understand what's going on in Keser and Chachma and Bina in order to understand how our avoda affects what's coming down from there, right? But our avoda is all in the Zayin Tachtonim, right? That's, again, we said like the days of the week or the Sheshes Yemei HaMaaseh, that's the work. Now, those 7, we said, are also broken up into 2. Right? There's the Vav Ktsavot, the 6th, the Vav of the Shem Hashem, which is Chesed, Gvur, Tferes, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and all of that, together is a unit, which we're going to be talking a lot about tonight. And then Malchus, right, the 10th Sphira, is also its own unit, right? This is when we broke it up into 4 or 5, like the Shem Hashem, the Kutzo Shel Yud being Keser, the Yud being Chachma, the Hey Elyona being Bina, Vav being the Vav Ktsavos, and Hey being the Malchus. So now all of these Partsufim, all of these places, all of these midos have many different names depending on how we're referring to them or the context that we're referring to them in. There are many different ways to refer to all of these midos. So, like, for example, like we said that the 6 Chesed, Gvur, Tferes, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, so that creates a unit, and we gave that unit a few names. We said sometimes it's referred to as Yaakov, right? We spoke about that last week in terms of the relationship with Rachel, which was Malchus. I said to you a few weeks ago, sometimes that unit of 6 is called Ze'er Anpin. Ze'er Anpin means a short face. And I want to explain exactly why it's, what does that mean, Ze'er Anpin, a short face. And this also, this comes up in depending on what Zmiros you say on Shabbos, or what, there's a tefillah before the Seudos that written by the Arizal, that's in a lot of benchers, that people say something. These are words that you'll see over there. Zer Anpin is the word over there, and Zer Anpin refers to the Vav of the Shem Hashem. It refers to that unit of Yaakov, right? That unit of those 6 midos. And that represents, like I said last week, the Zachar, like the male of the bottom 7 spheros, right? There's a male and a female. There's one male and a female on the top, like Abba and Ima, Chachma and Bina. But like I said, that our avoda doesn't really affect anything up there. It's too high up. We get shefa from there, but we're not affected by it. But the other couple, which is Zer Anpin, which is the Zachar, and the Nukva. Now, Malchus has a number of names, many names. Malchus is one of them. Nukva is one of them, the female, right? Because the Malchus is the female to the male of the Vav Ksavos, right? Like we said, there's 2 male partsufim and 2 female partsufim. The Yud and the Vav are like the male representations of Hashem. The 2 A's are the female representations of Hashem, right? Like a Hey always makes the word female, usually, like, in Torah. These, so the Hey Tachtona, the Malchus, is referred to as the Nukva. It's also referred to as the Shechina. Whenever we say that word Shechina of Hashem, it's a specific reference to the manifestation of Hashem in Malchus, meaning it's the part of Hashem that shows up, for us. That's what the Shechina is, Shochein. It rests among us, but that's not going to be referring to those higher levels of Hashem, right? Those are, very, very high levels that are, not affected again by us or not. The Shechina is the part of Hashem that is affected by us. And now, how is the Shechina affected by us? Because our mitzvos are what channels the shefa through Zer Anpin, right? Our mitzvos, the way that we do our mitzvos and Chas Hashem, the averos that we do, that is going to affect in those 6 midos of Chesed, Gvura, Tveres, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, is going to affect how the shefa, how the or comes down through those midos. And if there's a pagam, if there's something lacking, something not right in the way that we're working here, again, this is collectively and individually, so then the shefa is going to come down wrong. And when it comes out to Malchus, it's not going to be perfect, right? It's going to not be exactly the way it's supposed to be. And that therefore what's going to come out in the world is not going to be exactly the way it's supposed to be, right? This is the dynamic of, how our mitzvos and averos affect what's going on over here in the world. On the one hand, of course, Hashem is not affected by our mitzvos and averos. We can't do anything that affects Hashem. What does that mean? That means the higher levels, those higher aspects of Hashem that are out of our ability to, have any connection to. So yes, of course, that aspect of Hashem is not affected, but Hashem, as He manifests in this world, is of course affected by us, right? We say Tnu kavod the Torah godel Elokeinu. We make Elokeinu bigger. Elokeinu also very often. Okay, I don't want to go there now. Okay, so the idea of the shefa coming down through Zer Anpin and getting across over to Malchus and having things work, so that's called a yichud of those 2 midos, right? It's like a joining, like a zivug, a connection forming between those 2 midos, like a husband and wife, like, what we've been discussing in all these different ways. The shefa comes down from here and goes over to there, and that's where it is yotzei lepoel. So when we say these words, Kutchabrihu, that's a reference to Zer Anpin. The word Kadosh Baruch Hu, whenever you see that, it's not just talking about Hashem. I mean, again, all of them are always talking about Hashem on the simplest level, and you could just say the word Hashem, and it all makes sense, and it's all good. When we're learning Pnimius, we're learning that there's different manifestations of Hashem at different levels, and those different levels have different effects on us and are affected differently by us, and that's a lot of what the study of Kabbalah is all about. And then you tune in more to the Lashonos, to the words that are actually being used. So these words, L'Shem Yichud, Kutshabrichu, Ushchinte, right, is saying, I am doing this mitzvah in order to join Zer Anpin and his Nukva. I'm doing this mitzvah in order, now let's just use the simplest terms, I'm doing this mitzvah in order to bring down the shefa through the 6 midos of Chesed, Gvura, Tveres, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and to have those midos join together with Malchus and pass over that shefa as purely as possible. Now I'm going to do the mitzvah. That's what we're saying. That's mamash what we're saying. L'shem yichud kudshabrichu ushchinte. I'm doing this in order to be meyached these 2 midos. What does that mean? That means to join them together properly in proper connection with the shefa coming down the way that it's supposed to. And that's what I do. That's what my mitzvos do. They bring down this shefa and make this connection happen. Okay, so this is a huge concept, because if you think about it, really all of our mitzvos are this. All of our mitzvos are trying to get the shefa to come down properly and get over to Malchus in the proper way. And this is something that even in the Sefer Tomer Devora, I shouldn't say either. It's a very, very high, powerful Kabbalah Sefer, but it's written in words that are more appropriate to us, that we can understand, that everyone can read. And he says over there, when you're giving tzedakah, when a husband is doing something nice for his wife, when a person is doing something that is like similar to the spiritual giving of Zer Anpin to Malchus, right? Of Zer Anpin. So you should have kavana that, again, this is exactly what this word means. L'shem yichud kutshubrichu shchinte. But it's like, here, I'm giving tzedakah, I'm v'halachta b'drachav, just like Hashem has his midah of Zer Anpin that gives over to the nukva, and that's what keeps her alive, and that's what keeps the world running. So I'm doing that when I pass the salt to my wife at the Shabbos table, when I pass the ketchup, when I do something for things that represent the nukva in this world, right? So I'm making all of this happen, right? Really, everything that we've spoken about since Parshas Bereishis, it's all for this, right? It's all because the whole reason of that whole structure, like we said, is only for us, in order to be mashlim the world, in order to be mashlim ourselves, and all of those things. So the whole point of all of our avoda is really this yichud, right? To get to this yichud, and then this is also really just like hashkafically, the concept of Yichud Hashem is really the same thing when we say Yichud in the Das Tfunos, understanding of it, which is, that Kol Min Hashemayim, and it's all good. And even though the things that look like they're not good, really we believe they are good. It's exactly the same idea. It's exactly the same idea. It's Yichud Shemayim Va'aretz. It's like, Yichud of the way the world is, which is sometimes bad, and it's tzaddik v'ralo happens over here, and it's painful and it's difficult, but we're not seeing it just for that. We're putting it together with what we believe is happening in Shemayim, right? And we're saying that Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Even the Din, even the Elokeinu, we believe it's really all Hashem. Even though over here it's not, right? Here it hurts over here, right? But it's really all Hashem Echad. That's mamish the same idea of Yichud, right? So really all of our avoda, our mitzvah avoda, and all of our hashkafa avoda, right? Our avoda on, on our emuna and bitachon and believing in Hashem and hakol tova, all of that is all this. It's all yichud. And it's all this concept of.
Everything okay?
Yeah. But before, while I was sitting here just before the shir, and I was like preparing, and I looked out there with a cat, like over there, and it was a different cat, like that just came in from outside. That was eating from our bowl over here. Okay, so that's the idea. So that's when you give animals food, also you should have kavana. Right, Hashem, right? He provides for all the animals, all the things over here. That's mamash. All mitzvahs fit into this idea. Okay, fine. Now let's talk about Chanukah. Okay, this is like I hope what you got until now is something you'll take with you, because this is really everything, all of our avoda really is all about this. This is what we're here to do, is to do things that bring this yichud more and more into the universe. Okay, so now Chanukah is, the representation is as follows. We have here. This is the Sefer Pri Eitz Chaim. This is Rav Chaim Tam. We're going to Tzfat, by the way, this Shabbos. Tomer Devorah is going to Tzfat, right?
Really?
It's a good thing I didn't realize it, because I'm driving. So I don't know if I would have woken up this early if I realized I'm going to be safe and everything. But we're going up to Tzfat for Shabbos. We're going early in the year just because of Corona and everything. We want to go when we know that we can. And so I'm really looking forward. So Rav Chaim Vital, the Pri Eitz Chaim is everyone calls it the Arizal because the Arizal really didn't write anything. We don't have anything actually, I don't know, maybe a teeny bit, but we have barely anything actually written by the Arizal. And anything that anybody ever says quoting the Arizal is all coming from Rav Chaim Vital. So the Sefer Pri Eitz Chaim is from Rav Chaim Vital. Okay, so now he wants to say, like, he wants to explain the idea. Okay, the idea of Chanukah in Ruchnius and in under with this whole concept is as follows: that the Shechina during this time period, like going into the winter, it's like the darkest days of the year, the longest nights of the year. This year it actually works out that way. That like the longest night of the year, I think, is coming up in next week. So the going into this time period, the Shechina, which is the represented by the menorah. So we're bringing the Shechina light, right? We're bringing the Shechina light, where we are in this mitzvah sort of representative of Zer Anpin. We are performing the role of Zer Anpin, and we are taking that candle, right? And that candle represents the fire, which we're going to explain this in a minute, of the mochin, right? In that fire of the candle is the Ruchnius going all the way up to the highest levels of Keser, all the way up there, and we're taking those mochin and we're bringing it to the Shechina, which is represented by the menorah. That's what's happening. That's the mitzvah of Ner Chanukah. It's the menorah represents the Shechina, the fire represents the mochin, right? Those highest levels, the shefa that comes from those highest levels, and we are representing Zer Anpin, bringing that fire down to the Shechina. Okay, and now I say bringing it down because that's one of the halachos, and this is what Rav Chaim Vital explains, that the halacha is specifically that it has to be lechatchila, right? It has to be above 3 tfachim, right? Because within 3 tvachim is considered the ground mamish, so that it has to be above 3 tvachim. That's halacha that it has to be, right? But the lechatchila it should be just there, right? Lechatchila it should be at the bottom of the 3 tvachim, and lechatchila it should not be higher than 10 tvachim, right? So there's a small range which is low down, which is where the menorah is supposed to be, right? So he says, right, eino ole ad harosh, right? V'anu mamshichim la'or min harosh. That's the idea. Like the 10th tefach, that would already be like the head, right? Like the 10th sphere, that would already be like the head. So the whole point of the hadlaka is that the menorah, the shechina, is not up there. The shechina is not getting the shefa the way it sort of should. The shechina is down here, and we're supposed to be taking that nair from above 10 tvachim, right? Like from the place of the mochin, and bringing it down, right? Bringing it down to her. Va'anu mamshichin la or min harosh. Right, so that's what we're doing. We're bringing it down. Now, again, the halacha is you're allowed to put a menorah above 10 tvachim. It's still kosher as long as it's less than 20 amos. But the lechatchila space for the menorah is within those 7 tvachim, above 3 tvachim, which is like 10 inches, let's say, up until 10 tvachim, and that's to represent this idea of the ore coming down to the Shechina. And that's also Veda ki anu madlikin osa im shkia sachama. Right? And that's also why we do it dafka at sunset, dafka at the time that it's getting dark, dafka at the time that the Shechina sort of, needs the or the most, right? At the time that the darkest part of the winter is coming, and we dafka do it at the sunset to show this idea. Ki azi midas alayla v'hir das mata. So we have to go. So we want to make sure that the Shechina, the Malchus, as it goes into this dark winter, it goes into this difficult time, this spiritually difficult time. We're coming into Teves. Teves is the worst month of the year, not Av, Tammuz maybe. Tammuz and Teves are both, right? The Shechina is going into difficult times, so we're bringing it or to take with it through this time period. We're bringing down these mochin to invigorate it, right? And he says also this is why we have this thing that hadlaka osa mitzvah v'lo hanacha. The Gemara tells us, and this is like in Shulchan Aruch, you can't light the menorah somewhere and then move it to a place where it's kosher, right? Let's say I light the menorah above 20 amos, and then I put it in a place where it's kosher. So you would think, well, what's wrong with that? The point of the menorah is for it to be seen, right? That's what we're always told. The point of the menorah is to be seen, Persume Nisa, and all of these things. So who cares where I lit it? The point is to see it. So we're seeing here, no, that Al Pi Kabbalah, there's a very big inyan in the lighting itself. Of course, the seeing is important, and the seeing is a part of it, and the seeing has to happen, right? But our avoda in the Ner Chanukah is the lighting, and that's what he says. Lachin hadlaka osa mitzvah v'lo hanacha, right? Because it's the act of bringing the mochin is the mitzvah. So if I'm not doing that in the right way and in the right place, it doesn't matter that I move it later into where it's supposed to be. I didn't do the mitzvah properly. The mitzvah is the bringing of that fire. Ki einanu malin osamim komaklal, right? Because that's also like representative. Like if I light the menorah too high up, so I'm doing the whole thing wrong, right? If the menorah would be in that high place, right, so to speak, so it wouldn't need me to bring it the mochin. The whole point of why I need to be doing this mitzvah is because the Shechina is in a low place right now, right? There's certain times of the year that the Shechina goes all the way up to Keser, right? Ne'ilah on Yom Kippur, the Shechina, and we together with the Shechina, we latch onto it. We go all the way up to the highest levels of Keser, right? But now that's not where it is. Now we're in the winter. It's not Yom Tif. There's nothing happening till Pesach, right? We're over here, right? So it wouldn't make sense to light the menorah in a high place and then bring it down. That's not what it's about. Our job here is not to raise up the Shechina, right? We are bringing her to her place, right? That's the act of the lighting. Okay, so far so good, right? It's really very beautiful. We're understanding a lot of these ideas over here, that there's this concept of giving over shefa, giving over this from a higher place. So I want to now explain, hopefully easily, this idea of how the nair, how the fire represents the mochin and kind of represents everything that's going on over here. Okay, so now we have to talk a little bit of gematria. Okay, so this is important, but this is we have to talk a little bit of gematria. So okay, we know that all the different midos of Hashem have different names, right? Like different shemos of Hashem. Okay, so like the name of Zer Anpin, right? The name of the Vav Ksavos, the name of that that midah is Havaya, Yud Ke Vav Ke. Okay, Yud Ke Vav Ke is represents the I don't know what's happening. You okay? Okay. Yud Ke Vav Ke represents the meat. That's why I have the kotel here behind you, so we can't see the cat jumping around. Oh, thank you. Oh, I guess we can. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, she's in a very jumpy mood over here. Okay, 1 second. Oh, say hi, Pepper. Hi. She's very jumpy. Okay. Good girl. Okay, so sorry. So Yud Ke Vav Ke Havai. Yud Ke Vav Ke is the shame of Zer Anpin. That's like that's a representative, and the shame of Malchus, the shame of the Shechina, is the shame Adnus. Aleph Dalid Nun Yud. Okay, Aleph Dalid Nun Yud. The shame Adnus, right? But okay, as opposed to Havaya. Havaya is Yud Ke Vav Ke, and as opposed to the shame of like the Mochin, like that highest level, that's going to be the shame Eke. Aleph Ke Yud Ke. Okay, Shem Eke, Aleph Ke Yud Ke, that's like the highest level. Yud Ke Vav Ke is like the middle level, and Adnos Aleph Daled Nun Yud is the lowest level. Okay, that's like if we're going to break it up into 3. Okay, so now if we're going to talk about a yichud between Kutchabrihu Ushkinte, right? We're going to talk about a connection, a bond, a oneizing between Zer Anpin and Nukve. So then that means that we're talking really about a yichud between Shem Havaya and Shem Adnos, right? Havaya representing Zer Anpin, Adnos representing the Nukva, and we're going to bring them together. Okay, so you may have seen. I'll just do a screen share because I found this before. Well, you may have seen this. 1 second. Where's the? Oh, you now you just made me a host or something to screen share, or you let me screen share? Okay, 1 second. I'm sorry. So is here? No. Oh, maybe I can't do a screen share if I'm live streaming. I'm not sure. Oh, share screen. I'm sorry. Of course I can. I just didn't see it. Okay, so I want you to see. 1 second. Oh, here it is. Okay. Okay, 1 second. Am I sharing it? No, not yet. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Okay, so let's take a look at this guy. You can see this screen now?
Yep.
Okay, so this is like a representation of the 3 levels that we just said, right? The highest level is Eke, Aleph Ke, Yud Ke. The middle level, right, is Yud Ke, Vav Ke. And the lowest level is Aleph, Dalid, Nun, Yud. Okay, so for now, let's just talk about these 2, right? Because this is Zer Anpin, and this is Malchus. So you may have seen, many times in Sidurim, this string of 8 letters, Yud, Aleph, Ke, Daled, Vav, Nun, Ke, Yud, right? That's what we don't say hey because this is like a shame of Hashem, right? And then there's this Aleph, Yud, right? Has anybody seen this before? You know, like what I'm talking about? Or you may have seen it looking maybe like this. Oops, 1 second. Can I change this to another screen? Like this. Can you see this also? Are you sharing this or no?
Yeah, I see this.
Right? There's Yud K, Vav K with Adnos inside it like this.
No,
Right?
I
This
didn't.
is, I mean, like in a lot of Sephardi Sidurim and things like this, you'll see these types of letters, blocks of letters, and inter patterns of letters. I want to explain what this is because it's something really very, very basic, really. It's not something so like, I mean, obviously it's Kabbalistic, but it's very, now that we understand the concepts we're talking about. So what these 8 letters represent is a yichud of Kutchabrihu Shchinte, right? It's a yichud of Shem Havaya and Shem Adnos. What it is an interchanging. It's every other letter. Yud, K, Vav, K. And then here is Aleph, Dalid, Nun, Yud, right? And this one is the opposite. It's the same, but with Aleph first. Aleph, Dalid, Nun, Yud, Yud, K, Vav, K, right? And this is with all three of them. We're not going to talk about this right now, okay? So this is called a Shiluv Shemos. It's a combination of names. Shiluv Shemot, a combination of names. I don't endorse this site, by the way. I don't know what this is, Daily Zohar. This is just from Google Images. I found it, okay? So don't I don't know what this is at all. On Google Images, they had a nice image of this, so that's why I picked it. So I thank them, but I have no endorsement or anything. So these 8 letters, Yud, Aleph, K, Dalet, Vav, Nun, K, Yud, represent this concept of Yichud, Kutchabrichu, Ushchinte. Okay, now these 8 letters have a mathematical value, right? You just add up the numbers in gematria, and it comes out to 91. Tzadik Aleph, 91. Okay, that's 26 is Yud, K, Vav, K, right? We all know that. Chavav, 26, and then whatever 91 minus 26 is Aleph Dalet. Right, what's it? 55, 65, 65. 65. Okay. Okay. So the number 91 now, right? Now this is where it gets into the numbers in Kabbalah, because now we see the number 91 represents these 8 letters, which represents a yichud of Kutchabrichu Ushchinte, right? So this 91 comes up a lot. For example, Amen. Right, the word Amen is based on this. Right, when we are saying Amen, what we are saying is yes, the bracha that you just said, should find its way in the joining of Kutchabrichu Ushchinte. It should find its way in the zivug of Zer Anpin V'Nukve. And when I'm saying Amen, not that I have this kavana, but the kavana of Amen is this, right? Yud Aleph Ke Dalet Vav Nun Ke Yud, right? I'm amening that shefa. I'm bringing that shefa down, accepting that shefa that should come down, however you want to put it, right? But that number of 91 is this also comes up in davening. This comes up all over the place. The pasuk Poseach es Yadecha umasbiel l'chol chayratzon. So there, that Rizal also says that pasuk is, again, it's talking about Zeir Anpin giving to the Nuk, right? Nukva Poseach es Yadecha, Hashem, you open your hand umasbiel l'chol chayratzon, and you give for everybody. So the first 3 words of that pasuk, there's all sorts of kavanos, right? Pei Aleph Yud, right, is again 91, right? Poseach es Yodecha is 91, Pei Aleph Yud. And again, the kavanah that Rizal says you should have is that, what does it mean, Poseach es Yodecha? That Hashem, give the shefa from Havaya to Adnus, let that shefa come down, in this way. Okay, whatever. There's tons of places where this comes up. This concept of 91 and different gematrias and different letters that hint to it and are amazed to it, etc. But this is a fundamental idea of this concept of yichud. Okay, but now this yichud can happen on 3 different levels, so to speak, right? Let's again break it up into 3. We have the mochin, we have the zachar, and we have the nekeva. Okay, so Havaya and Adnus, that's going to be the yichud for the lowest level, right? That's going to be the yichud of Havaya and Adnus on the lower level. There's also a yichud for the middle level and the high level. What does that mean? It means that there's another way of combining Shem Havaya with other names, right, in order to also represent that shefa, also represent that connection. For example, Yud K Vav K and Eheke. Let's look over here, right? If we go to the top level, so just like we did here, we added a Yud and a Hey over here, then a Vav and then a Hey. So we do the same thing with Eheke. It's Yud Aleph K, right? Yud Aleph K, like over here, then another K, then the Vav from Havaya, then Yud from Eke, then K from Havaya, then K from Eke, right? So it's Yud Aleph KK, Vav Yud KK. That's the Yichud on that level. And in the middle level, right, because Havaya is already taken, so it's Havaya and Elokim. Okay, the middle yichud is with the Shem Elokim, Yud Aleph K Lamed Vav K K Yud Mem. That's how it goes. Okay, it's a yichud of Shem Havaya and Elokim, and it's one extra letter. It's not just 8 letters; it's 9 letters. Okay, so but that's the idea, that there are these a yichud, a yichudim, right? These concepts of these joinings that happen on each level. Okay, so this is it. We're just finishing up with this point. So if you take the numerical value of Havaya Eke, Yud Aleph K K Vav Yud K K, and Havaya Elokim, Yud Aleph K Lamed Vav K K Yud Mem, and Havaya Adnus, Yud Aleph K Daleth Vav Nun K Yud, all of that comes together to Ner, to 250. Okay, that all of those, that this is not just over here in Ner Chanukah. It's called Yichud Ner. There's this concept of, with our kavanos, wrapping all of the shefa together, wrapping all of those levels together, and it makes a difference in our kavana whether we do it from bottom to top or top to bottom, right? Are we talking about a situation where the kavana is to bring shefa up, or we're talking about a kavana to bring shefa down, right? All these things are here. So what comes out over here for the bottom line in terms of what we're talking about is that the whole idea of bringing in the mochin, the whole idea of bringing the shefa from those higher levels to the malchus in the lowest level to take her into the winter, right? So that's represented by the ner, represented by the 250 numerical value of a ner, which really represents all of the mochin, the whole full package of the full mochin with all of the powers and all of the levels fully there. That's what we are bringing down with the ner, and that's what the Rizal writes when a person says the word ner Chanukah. So they should have in mind this idea. Again, I don't know if it means the actual letters, but that we're bringing the ner down, the shefa from Havaya Eke, the shefa from Havaya Elokim, finally to the shefa from Havaya Adnus, and we're bringing all of that down to the Malchus and giving that to her to give her the koach that goes into the night. Okay, so that's obviously there's tons more to this. I'm saying like each of the words has all sorts of Ner Chanukah. There's a question of Ner Shel Chanukah or Ner Chanukah, and all of these things. There's obviously a lot more to it. But I wanted to just go over this with you because this is mamash the kavanah of Chanukah. Is this idea of bringing the shefa to the malchus so that it has what it needs to get us until Pesach. Now this. Like again, this all is very abstract and esoteric, and even though I'm trying to like bring it down to earth a little bit, but if you think about it, this is exactly what the menorah was in the times of the Yevanim, right? The Klal Yisrael was in a bad place. The Yevanim were controlling us. The Maccabim fought back. They were able to find that Pach Shemen and reignite the Shechina, reignite the menorah, bring the Shechina back into the Beis Hamikdash, bring the Shechina back to Klal Yisrael. And the menorah, the lighting of the menorah represented, but it wasn't going back from Galus, right? On the contrary, it was going into the longest stretch of Galus that we've had, right? After Hanukkah, that's it. Was this we're still in the Galus that we were in. We were in Galus with the Beis Hamikdash, right? But we're still in that Galus. So the Shechina needs this shefa to take it through the Galus, to take it through the dark winter night of Galus. The Shechina needs that shefa, and that's the whole concept that Persume Nisa, the concept of Hashem never leaving us. Hashem is always there with us. Even Behester, Hashem is there to help us, and with the concept of the Ner Chanukah, even with a Nes Nigla. But like the two ideas go hand in hand. Like in the cycle of the year, this is the time that the Shechina needs this extra boost, and it needs us to do this avoda to do this boost. And in the times of historically, in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, this is Klal Yisrael needed this boost of Hanukkah, and we still need that boost of Hanukkah to take us into the Galus and keep with us here to tell us Hashem is still with us, Hashem is still protecting us, Hashem is still fighting us, and we're still being Mephayasem the Nisim of those times by Mimayim Bazman Hazeh. So I hope that this made sense and helps. And okay, have a great Shabbos, everybody.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Great to see you all as always.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Have a good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.